so I can see kind of half your face a little bit. Let's try. So I want to see the board and your face. There we go. All right. Okay. So to get started, so we'll start how we usually start, right, with check-ins. So would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
You can go first.
I'll go first. Okay, I've got some good ones. So my hi is that I've got a nephew who's coming today, like right now.
Wait, like he's being
born. Yes.
Okay.
He is being born. So I keep checking, you know, like I'm excited. And I also feel really bad because my sister-in-law who's having the baby. She's been in labor since 11 o'clock yesterday.
No.
So I want him to come really soon for her sake only. And then my low is that I had a really terrible morning. I was house sitting like out really far in the East Bay, and I was supposed to wake up at 5:30 to get here on time, and I woke up at 6:30. I sit in traffic coming over. It was just a crazy, like, stressful, and I'm like in a fog. I think everyone's in a fog. I don't know, like the weather moved in and like really affected people's thinking. So that's.
I think it's just Monday too, you know.
Yeah, it could be. So those are my highs and my lows. How about you?
Okay, I guess my high for today is I got a rabbit.
Hey, that is exciting.
Yeah, I just went into like the Skyline Pet Shop with my friend because she wanted to buy a puppy.
Oh yeah.
Like early in the morning, I don't know why. And then I saw this rabbit on sale, and I'm like, oh yay.
So what's the rabbit's name?
Orlo.
Do his ears stick up or do they fall down?
They stick up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really big bunny. He was on sale because he's really old.
Yeah.
And no one wanted him, so I'm like, I'll take him home.
That's nice of you. Good job.
Yeah, and then I guess my low would be that my bunny,
yes.
right, is sick.
Oh no!
Yeah, and I have no money to go take him to a vet, so I'm waiting for my next paycheck, which is in 2 weeks. But until then, I'm like really worried. He's sick because, okay, it's really bad actually, but when he goes to the bathroom, I see like little blood spots everywhere, and I'm like, oh my god, like, I bought a bad bunny. What the heck? Like, how come no one told me this?
Yeah.
So I researched it. I'm like, what does it mean?
Yeah.
Like, if your bunny has like blood when he's like going to the bathroom and stuff, and that basically means he's got like a tapeworm or something in him. And I'm like, wow. How come they didn't tell me?
Did you think about maybe? I know that taking him to the vet is very expensive. I have pets too. In the meantime, did you think about maybe taking him to the SPCA? Like that's cheaper sometimes. Like different like humane societies, like they have like clinics that are cheaper than vets. That could be an option, you know, just for the 2 weeks maybe. Think about doing it there.
Oh wow, okay. I'll think about that.
Yeah.
But then my friend works like as an office person at a vet clinic.
Okay.
And so I'm asking her like, do you think you can get me some hookups on like dewormers?
Yeah, and some veterinarians too, like they you can take them in and they can do the payments like in installments, or like they can bill you, you know, so that way you can do it too. So I hope that you can maybe get some help. I know that's so sad with the animals in pain.
I was so angry. Yeah, like literally I bought him today, and then he went to the bathroom and there was blood everywhere, and I'm like, why didn't anyone tell me this?
Yeah,
you know?
Scary. Oh, poor Orlo. Okay, well I'll send good vibes towards Orlo. I hope that he feels better. Okay, so today you were supposed to bring all these topic sentences, right?
Yes.
Get them out. Let's work on it. I know you have a rough draft too. Were you able to turn in the rough draft?
The rough draft's due tomorrow.
It's due tomorrow.
Or well, before tomorrow.
I thought I had. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Y'all, sometimes the schedules you have. Let's see. Let's make sure that I know what's going on, so we're all on the same page. So it says that you had to turn in a rough draft in Comp Lab and turn it in on tomorrow, right? So that's due tomorrow. Okay. Good. So we're in a good spot. So you got those topic sentences though.
Yes.
And the argument. Okay. What I'd like you to do is you're gonna pick 3 topic sentences to work on today. I'd like you to pick your strongest one.
Okay.
And then your 2 that you want feedback on and you want to work on here. So pick 1 that's your strongest and 2, and then I'd like you to write your thesis. Here, so I'll help. So what I'd like you to do is pick out 3, and then up on the board I'd like you to write your thesis statement. And then mark which one is your really strong one and which ones you want feedback on. Okay, so take some time and do that, and then when you're ready, come write it up on the board.
as in like we're gonna revise it together?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Do I write my thesis word for word or just the idea of my thesis?
Go ahead and write it word for word.
Word for word, okay.
Let's work with the most authentic thing you've got here. And you can write them up there with any kind of spacing that you need. I just did that so you could remember what to put up there, but if you want to write them in different areas or space them out however you want, that's fine too. You can use the board up to that little squiggly line.
Okay.
There's one clock in here, so get this out.
I have a lot I want to work on.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay.
We're just gonna start with what you have, right? So
Alright,
again,
okay.
think about it this way, when you write it on the chalkboard, it can be erased. It's not permanent.
Alright, okay. So just
So your thesis, because of poor financial managing, students, right, are at fault with their debt. Okay, so topic sentence 1, is this the one you really like?
Yeah.
Got the lines? Good, let's look at it. Students are already at a disadvantage because they have received little to no education on how to manage their money. Okay, so let's check it. So what's the 2 things we check for with topic sentences?
If it is like a good sentence, like grammatically correct.
Not one of the things that we look for.
Up and down.
Up and down,
Okay.
yes, up and down, right? So when we say it goes up, what does that mean? What does it need to relate to?
The thesis.
Okay, so it needs to give a specific reason or specific argument to your thesis, right? So your argument, so as a reader, when I'm reading it, this is what I see. You're arguing that students have no really education about how to spend their money, so obviously they're going to spend it unwisely, right? Now, in that scenario, are the students at fault for not knowing about the money?
Yes.
Why?
Because they didn't learn, like they didn't.
Is it their fault they didn't learn?
No.
Ah.
Okay. Well, I don't see it that way.
Okay. So let's talk. This is a great example, Cece. So let's talk about this because I think you're right. I think you don't mean it that way, but what I'm telling you as a reader, that's how it comes across. In this, it looks like you're blaming the fact they've gotten no education. So how can they expect to know how to manage money correctly? So there's a disconnect, right, between what you mean and between what's coming off in the topic sentence. So let's fix it. This is good. So talk to me. How do you said I don't see it that way. How do you see it?
I see it as, well, schools are not going to teach you that.
Right.
I don't know why they don't, but they just won't. You
Sure.
know what I mean? So, you have to read up on it on your own. You have to watch the news. You have to keep up with current events.
Yeah.
And, learn from your parents. Learn
Yeah.
on your own.
So let's reframe this a little bit, right, to make it reflect that. So here it says students are already at a disadvantage because they have received little to no education on how to manage money. So let's do this over here. So say what you just said again about because students receive, and I'm going to do students with the 2 S's like that, okay? Receive no maybe formal education, right? We talk about formal education, we're talking about like getting it in school, okay? On how to manage money, they are responsible to do what?
Learn on their own.
Or maybe they have the responsibility
to educate themselves.
There you go, I like that. To educate themselves, okay, so this is the first part, right? So therefore, what? Therefore, if they choose not to educate themselves, what?
Then that's their fault.
Okay. Okay, because students receive no formal education on how to manage money, they have the responsibility to educate themselves. Therefore, if they choose to not educate themselves, it is their fault. Can we just clarify this really quickly? That it is their fault? What is their fault? What's the it?
Debt?
Yeah. We might say what about, the debt, maybe? The debt is their fault. Yeah. So let's compare, because these are, what's the difference between this one and this one in terms of what they mean? So because students are already at a disadvantage because they have received little to no education on how to manage money, compared to because students receive no formal education on how to manage money, they have the responsibility to educate themselves. Therefore, if they choose not to educate themselves, the debt is their fault. What's the difference between these two?
It puts the blame on the students. And my first first one that I wrote puts the blame on our education system.
And how does it do that? Yes, we changed it, but what did we change about like maybe the wording or the ordering that made that change different?
Just the wording. So I don't know how to explain it, but students is like the main subject.
Yeah.
Right? And then education is at the end, but over here education is first and then students is last.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it kind of flips it for emphasis. Okay, interesting. So now let's check this. So up and down, right? So up, relationships with the thesis. How does this relate to your thesis statement?
It relates to my thesis statement because it puts this blame on students.
Okay, for what?
For not learning about managing money on their own.
Okay, right? And then down, what's this paragraph going to be about?
It's going to be about how students don't take the time to actually, like they don't find it important and they don't care unless it's happening, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Solid.
Thanks. I'm done.
Okay. So let's erase this one then. Okay. So again, chalkboard doesn't matter. It goes away. That's why, you know. So I've got my desk right in my house, and my desk is right near a closet that we have. I actually painted the inside of the closet door with chalkboard paint so I could use it like a chalkboard because I use it for drafting and brainstorming because it really is mental, you know. Because like here I can erase it. You know, if I type it or write it up, it's like real. So yeah, I really do at home. I have the same thing. Okay, so this is one of the ones you want to work on, right? So parents are bad examples. Okay, so what about this do you want to work on? Why did you choose this one as one of maybe your less strong ones?
I feel like it's too vague. Like, I mean, everyone knows like parents are a big contributor to student debt, but I mean to the way students manage their money.
Yeah.
But I want to make it more specific, so if someone who has no idea what I'm talking about will kind of know what I'm talking about.
I agree, and that is wonderful reasoning. So I think it's really awesome that you were able to figure out kind of what needs to be changed. That actually shows a really high level of thinking. That's cool. So parents are bad examples. So there's something called, I don't know if I talked to you guys about this, like something called collocated. And what that means is, in the English language, there's certain words and phrases that go together. I think we did when we talked about definitions, right? Like when we talked about the word, what was it? We were doing vocab that one day.
Capricious.
No, it wasn't. I know you guys like capricious. It wasn't capricious though. It was
Soliciting.
No, keep going though. You'll get it. It started with an R. I think, or a P. Do you have your notes with all those words?
I don't. I actually didn't bring my book. I left it at home.
Okay, that's okay. Anyways, there's certain words that we use in certain phrases, right? So when we say bad examples, if your parents yelling at you, they say, do you want a bad example for your younger sister? What's the word?
Do you want a bad example?
No, there's a word that goes in between there. They say, do you want to set a bad example, right? We say set bad example. Even though we could use other, have you ever heard that? People say?
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to think of a word.
No, it's set. That's what it is. Do you want to set a bad example? That's the word. That's it.
Okay.
No more guessing, right? It's set a bad example. Even though you could use words that mean the same. You could say form a bad example, create a bad example, but we don't, right? We say set a bad example. Those things go together, right? That's what I'm talking about. There's certain words that just pair up in the English language, and they go together. There's not really a reason why, but it just makes more sense.
And it sounds nice.
Sounds nice, right? Because it's recognizable to people. So you want to try to, if you can do that, you want to use those, right? Because your reader knows those.
Okay.
So if you have examples, let's use set, right?
Alright, I'll look at the thesaurus later. For that P word.
I don't know what that P word is. It was one of the ones you guys had, and I was trying to say, I don't remember what it. Don't stress about it.
Okay.
It's fine. I was trying to use an example to teach you about set bad examples, and we got there, so don't worry about it. So we've got this nice collocation here. Good. Okay. So who sets bad examples?
The parents.
Yeah. Okay, so parents set bad examples. Now here, you're right, it's too broad. Because if I would read this, I would say, set bad examples about
eating bad.
About eating, or I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff. So we want to be specific, right? Yes. Set bad examples about what? Remember, what's your thesis about?
Financial managing.
Yeah. So parents set bad examples about specific about how to do what? How to manage what?
Money.
Yeah. Okay, so now, is it more specific?
Yeah.
It is. So let's check again, okay? So the up and the down. So parents have had examples about how to manage money. Up to your thesis. Does this support your thesis?
Yes.
Why?
Because manage money and then financial managing.
So it matches. Well, let's check if it's supporting your argument. Your argument is saying that students are responsible. Who's responsible in this?
The parents.
Oops.
Oh gosh, okay.
Okay. But we fixed it with this one, so let's fix it with this. So I'm going to throw you into the deep end a little bit here. We did it with this one. And you said something smart. You said, I want the subject of the sentence to be first, right? Just like we did in this one. So go ahead, take your time. I'm going to sit. I want you to think about this. You can draft it on paper if you want that easier for you. Fix this sentence. Move it around so that students become responsible here instead of the parents. I'm checking my phone because we have no clock in here, and we actually have to leave a little bit early because I have to go to a presentation at 2:10.
Yeah, I understand.
You have a sick bunny to get back to.
I know, it like breaks my heart. Does this work? Students learn core money managing skills from their parents.
Oh! Write that up there. Go, write that up there. That intrigues me, Cece. Let's talk about that. Okay. Students learn core money managing skills from their parents. Okay. So this is very interesting. So students is in the subject part, so it's about the students, right? So again, let's think. Who is that blaming?
It's still blaming the parents.
It's still blaming the parents. Yeah. That's tough. So I think that is a much better topic sentence. You revised it, true, but it still doesn't quite get to what you're trying to support. So let's talk about that. So let's say that my parents, well, can I use the example of your parents that you gave me?
Yeah.
So your parents make a solid living, right? But they use a lot of credit cards, right? And they've racked up debt on a lot of credit cards, right? So, and you saw that happen, okay? So if that's how you learn to manage money, how is it that it is still your fault that you're in debt?
I don't know.
Okay, well, let's think about it. I think you can make an argument.
Okay.
Does seeing your parents in that predicament, how does that make you feel?
That makes me feel like I don't want to be in their position ever.
Ah, so if you see them making poor decisions, then what ideally would you do? What choices would you make?
I wouldn't get credit cards. Well, as many as my parents.
Right.
So students fail to learn
From the
mistakes of their parents.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like that.
Well, but then I don't want to talk about all the students because not all students are gonna fail to learn. So most.
But are all students responsible for?
Oh yeah, that's my argument.
I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
It's not too late to change your argument.
No, I like my argument better than talking about credit cards.
Okay.
Okay.
So you could say you could use a modifier here. You could say some students, right? You're allowed to do that. Some students, and how did you phrase that? It was so nice. Fail to
learn from the mistakes, from the financial financial mistakes of their parents.
Good. Now, let's take this one step further, which results in what?
Which results in
what happens then?
I want to say in debt, but
which results in them making what kind of choices?
Poor decisions, poor financial decisions. Oh,
okay.
Financial.
Okay. From the financial, which results in. What about students making the same mistakes, maybe?
Repeating their parents' mistakes.
Good. So which results in students okay. Students fail to learn from the financial mistakes of their parents, which results in students repeating their parents' mistakes. What do you think about that?
I mean, it's good. It gets to the point. I would change some words.
I actually don't like the ending.
I don't like the ending either.
I thought that we needed something there, but I actually don't like it that much. So let's put a period there. Okay? Do you like this better? Some students fail to learn from their financial mistakes of their parents?
Yes.
Okay. Write it down.
Okay.
Beautiful. Okay. So now for this third one, I'm really going to push you to the deep end. I want you to do this third one. I want you to do up and down, right? For this. Tell me if it works up and down and why. And if you want to change it, tell me why you want to change it. Can you change it quite yet? Okay?
Okay. It goes up because actually I want to change it because I feel like it's not specific enough.
Okay.
College students just graduated from high school, so they are still irresponsible kids.
Yes. So let's think about what assumption are you making here?
I'm assuming that, kids don't know how to manage money, that's why they have their parents doing it.
Right.
That's why they have their parents doing it, so if they're still irresponsible kids, then they're gonna get themselves into debt.
Okay, so what about them makes them irresponsible? Why are they irresponsible?
They're immature.
Why?
Because they haven't learned.
You're getting there, good. Why haven't they learned?
They haven't learned because they never dealt with money before.
So it's inexperience.
Inexperience, there you go.
Right. So it's not about high school, because you can have very responsible kids coming out of high school, right? But it's the fact that they lack experience, so they don't know. Right?
Yes.
Is that what you're arguing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go fix it. Up on the board. get themselves into debt. You're dropping S's here. Do you do this in your essays too? Get themselves?
Oh my god.
I'm curious, is this like a chalkboard translation thing, or does this happen in essays too? Do you know?
Well, I guess autocorrect on, Microsoft Word, I never even knew that.
Well, can I ask, does your teacher, when she gives you stuff back, does she say that you have problems with subject-verb agreement? Is that one thing she makes you for? Because that's what that looks like. Even though I know that you don't, when you leave off the S's, that's what looks. I'm curious, if you ever get feedback saying subject-verb agreement or SVA, that's probably what they're referring to as the dropping of S's.
Oh, well, I mean, she probably would, but I really think Microsoft Word just, corrects it automatically.
Well, they would correct it themselves, they wouldn't correct the student, necessarily. Anyhow, something to think about, make sure you're thinking about. Okay, so college students get themselves into debt because of inexperience with money management. Okay, good. So, it's more specific for sure, right? Because now you're talking about their inexperience, right? You're not making assumptions about high schoolers and irresponsibility. So those check, up and down. Well, before that, are you happier with this than you were?
Yes.
Yes? Do you want to check it now?
Okay, yeah. It goes up because it talks about their inexperience with money management.
Okay.
And it blames the students.
Okay.
And then it goes down because I could talk about how, I guess I would just reiterate how students don't learn money management.
But you already have that topic sentence. You already have that paragraph.
Okay.
So let's think of it this way then. What kind of experience with money do they need to be able to successfully own credit cards? What's some of the things they need to be able to do?
They need to be able to make payments on time.
Okay.
Talk about that.
Yeah. What else do they need to do?
I could talk about saving money.
They need to be able to save money.
Anything happens, yeah.
And so let's think about these two things. So saving money and paying bills on time. Do they do any of that in high school? No. And whose fault is that? Is that theirs?
No.
We run into this problem again, right? You're listing all of these great reasons why students end up getting into debt. Good reasons. But you're having a hard time putting the blame back on them, right? Because all these things are kind of external to them. So what this says to me is either we need to change your thesis statement because it's really not what you want to argue, or we need to be really good about making sure the topic sentence frame it like that.
Okay.
So this is the discussion we need to have. I know that it might be scary to change your thesis when you have a rough draft due. I know, that's scary. But you should know if you do, all your topic sentences can be it sounds like they're already there. Or you need to be really conscious about how to change your topic sentences. So let's talk about that for a second.
Okay, well, yeah, maybe it's not the student's fault. Well, then again, this is only like 3 topic sentences. Like I have another one where it's like students feel peer pressured to buy a bunch of nice stuff to be socially accepted.
And is that their fault?
It's not their fault. Oh my gosh. Okay, maybe if I change my thesis to not the student's fault, maybe they're in the environment around them, the people around them.
Well, it's not just the people around them. You're onto something here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the people. I think you had the environment right. Does the environment that students find themselves in, does it make it easy for them to make smart money decisions? Not really, because one of their environment is their parents, right?
Yes.
Another environment is one. Which one is this talking about?
The education system.
School. What's this talking about?
Themselves.
Well, and themselves, and like an inability. Can you think of any situation where a high schooler would have to pay bills for something? You can't like sign up for stuff before you're 18, right? So it's not possible for them to practice this.
It's their age as well.
So this environment would be like their age, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe how comfortable would you be in changing your thesis? I know that's scary.
Oh no, I think that's better.
Okay.
Let's change our thesis.
So let's change it. And then you would have to rework all these topic sentences, right? Okay.
Yeah, because when I was trying to come up with these 10 topic sentences, I was really struggling.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Well, that's usually a good indicator that you're like, well, maybe I'm arguing kind of against myself. And honestly, this is what revision is, right? We talk about revision, we talk about revisioning something. This is what you're doing good writer stuff right now.
Okay.
So your thesis is that students are not responsible for student debt, for their debt, right? Because, or maybe, do you want to say students are not completely responsible? Would that make you feel more comfortable?
Yeah.
Yeah? Because that's a modifier, right? It's kind of a hedging.
Students are not completely responsible to...
When we say for their debt?
For their debt, because there are other contributing factors.
That's not what you were quite talking about. Student debt, because you were saying because you're really focusing on how they spend their money, right? What are some of the reasons that they don't manage their money well?
They don't live in an environment where they can make smart financial decisions.
That sounds really good.
Because they don't live in an environment that allows them.
Maybe we could say that facilitates?
That facilitates, okay.
Use some big words there. Facilitates what? Smart
financial decisions?
Yeah. I like decisions because that's like a choice they can make. Okay, let's do it. Students are not completely responsible for their debt because they don't live in an environment that facilitates smart financial decisions. What do you think? 0 to 10.
That promotes.
Ooh, I like promote. That's good. Yeah.
Okay, yes. I'm actually really happy with this thesis.
Yeah?
Because it makes sense. Yeah, like you're so right. The 3 I put up on the board, it's not their fault. It's not the student's fault.
Right. And it's not it's not anybody else's fault, because you weren't very comfortable saying it was the credit card companies. It's not necessarily somebody else's fault. You're saying that all of these factors that kind of
influence bad decisions.
Bad decisions, right? So the students are responsible for the decisions they're making, but those decisions aren't quite their own, right? Mm-hmm. And that's a really kind of nuanced and critical thing you came up with. That's cool.
Okay, I like this because in the prompt it doesn't say anything. You know how it gives us choices like whose fault is it? The politicians, the credit card companies, or the students? And I'm like coming up with a whole new idea.
You are, which is so cool. And so I'm thinking about that reading that you did, the Williams reading. How? Because he's talking about this ideology of debt, right? Or pedagogy of debt, right? How is that related to what you're arguing here? Remember, pedagogy is what? Do you remember the definition for pedagogy?
To teach.
It's how you learn, right? Or how people choose to learn. So, if the pedagogy of debt, what is that teaching students?
That they have to
we don't need to remember kind of generally, right? Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this. Is the pedagogy of debt promoting smart financial decisions?
No.
Whoa. It's not.
Yeah.
Right? So
it's like an explanation of why.
So do you think that reading can maybe help you with this thesis? Okay.
Because it'll explain why students are not completely responsible.
Yeah. And I think in your introduction you can say students are ultimately responsible for the decisions that they make, but those decisions you can say, so another collocation, right, is the decisions are not made inside a vacuum. Do you know what people mean when they say that?
No.
So when we say vacuum, we don't mean like vacuum cleaner, even though it sounds that way, right? We say vacuum. Scientifically, a vacuum is like a space where all of the gravity has been sucked out of it. So there's nothing else there, right? It's like if you were in a vacuum, there'd be no air, no gravity, no particles, just CC. So when we say that things don't happen inside of a vacuum, we mean that students are making decisions just off their own thing, right? They make these decisions because they've got all this other stuff influencing them. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So they do not make decisions inside a vacuum. That's what that means.
Okay. I'm gonna write down my thesis.
I like that. And we're doing just great on time. We're just going to end up right now. And now you can use those topic sentences that you made, which are so good. Okay. Cool. How you feeling?
I'm feeling more confident about my paper.
Yeah?
Yes.
Good. So you have this rough draft. Do you you have anything else except for those topic sentences, or is that what you worked on this weekend? Like, did you do anything else to prep for writing the rough draft?
Oh, I just started writing my rough draft because I came up with all these topic sentences on like Friday,
Good.
Right? And then Saturday I had nothing to do before work, so I was like, I'm gonna type up my essay.
And so did you use those topic sentences in your essay?
Yes, I did.
Yes, and you're building paragraphs around those?
Yeah, so now
Beautiful.
I think I'm gonna change everything up.
Well, I don't know if you have to change everything up. You need to change your thesis, right?
Mm-hmm.
But your topic sentences, at least the ones you shared with me, already supported that new thesis, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what I would do is I would go through and check those topic sentences to make sure that they still agree with your new thesis, right? And then I would start writing. I would revise what you're writing. Yeah?
Yes.
And then will you bring that in on Wednesday?
Mm-hmm.
And we can work on it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I want you to write down your own action plan now in the last minute. Write down 3 things you're going to do when writing this rough draft. 3 things you're going to do to get that rough draft done after you leave here today.
I guess I'm gonna, do the up-down thing.
Yeah?
The up-down thing.
For all of your topic sentences?
Yes.